Hello, everyone. Sorry, we're getting started here in our live session a little bit later than usual, but I'm really excited with the opportunity to come to you today and talk about the new normal. I've been talking a lot about this in our podcast. I've been talking a lot about this in email, even in our social media posts. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time kind of talking through getting a handle on your day. The reason I wanted to bring this up is for many of us, when we're talking about this new normal, this new way that we're establishing our time, where we're spending our energy, and also kind of managing the fact that many of us are still either at home or working from home. Our worlds have changed. Our worlds have dynamically kind of shifted. And because of that, many of us as entrepreneurs have needed to create a new structure around their schedule, around their workday. And what I thought I would kind of share with you today is how I've restructured my day, how I've restructured my weeks. Because what I find is as we're all trying to be a little more productive, as we're all trying to get more done in a day, the challenge is how do you get that balance? What should you be working on when? And I'm not necessarily here to kind of reach into your office, reach into your home, or reach into your day and say, this is what you should be doing, this is what you should not be doing. What I really want to do today, and what I'm hoping I can do in this session, is give you some ideas on how you can kind of gain back control of your day, how you can really not just let kind of time slip through your fingers, which I know for me, with all of the shifts and changes, I started to have a lot of those days. I started to have days where I was scratching my head and saying, well, what did I get done today? And what was I doing? And what was happening is I kind of got so wrapped up into the news cycle. I got so wrapped up into what was happening, how I was feeling. I got so wrapped up into all the new things I had to do in my life, which was, shopping online for grocery stores, learning how to use, the grocery store delivery systems and tools, recently shopping for masks. All of those things have really kind of been distractions. And sometimes maybe I needed a distraction. Maybe I needed some time off. Maybe I needed to give myself an opportunity or a chance to truly do things outside of just my regular work grind. But what I realized is I was doing that kind of as a process. I was kind of doing it as not me in the driver's seat, not me literally sitting down and saying, how do I want to manage my day? When do I want to have time? When I just have fun? When I just search? When I cruise around the internet? When I watch podcasts? That I think is important for all of us to have. I think it's important for all of us to have a time where we are literally just doing fun stuff, just kind of enjoying our days and enjoying our lives. But we also need time where we're going to be grinding, where we're going to be working in our businesses, when we're going to be making things happen. So what I want to do today is kind of show you how I do it, how I'm juggling things, how I'm kind of trying to balance my week. And I'm hoping by kind of showing you what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help inspire you. And maybe you'll see some things that can help you manage your day. Now, as always, we love to do these sessions live. I love to be able to see who is live and who's joining us. I'm going to be kind of jumping around. You'll see my eyes move if you're watching the video version of this. If any of you are listening to this on as part of our podcast, welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to be able to send these out as part of our podcast as well. And what I want to do is just create an opportunity for you guys to ask questions. So if you have a question about something I mentioned, about the time or how I do it, feel free to post it in the comments. That's what we're going to use the comments for. If you're listening to our podcast and you've downloaded the app, there's a comment section there as well. While I won't see those live, I will go back to them and take a look. And same thing for anyone who maybe hasn't watched this live, post in the comments what your questions are about your day or what you're struggling with. And I'm really hoping that maybe I can help you along the way. All right, so let's dive in and let's talk about kind of how I get things going. Let's talk about my standard morning schedule. And the reason I bring up my standard morning schedule is what I find is having a process in place to help you start the day. Having a consistent way of doing it really helps. I've talked about this before. We even talked a little bit about it last week, but I thought I'd kind of show you what I mean and what I do. I'm finding works really well. It's kind of weird, even though we're in this time where many of us are home, many of us are doing things differently. What I'm finding is I need more kind of structure in my schedule, and having this additional structure in my schedule, what it's allowing me to do is be more productive. So my standard morning is I'm getting started with a walk or workout in the morning. Maybe it's a combination of both. I used to do this a little bit later in the morning. We've pushed it up to about 7:30. I live in Florida. It's crazy hot. The later you go out to do your walks. So what we're trying to do now is walk a little bit earlier in the morning. I was initially walking around like 9 o'clock. Now we moved it up to about 7:30, which is working out really a lot better now doing that morning session, because it allows me to kind of get physically going, get that process going. And then also, it doesn't make me feel like my walk, my workout, those things that are important for me personally, and those things that are helping me kind of grow personally, I feel like I have time in the day to do those because they're not competing with my work schedule. So that's when I'm starting out with 7 o'clock in the morning. Then I'm moving into what I call my morning prep. So normally this is around 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And my morning prep is really the personal stuff I need to get done, whether I need to grab in a shower, whether I'm doing a facial, get my face and everything ready, whether I'm grabbing a little bit of breakfast. It really can be the gamut. Now, this isn't a hard or fast rule, but the idea is once I finish my workout, my walk, I want to be able to kind of spend a little bit of personal time to kind of get myself together, to just give myself a chance to kind of focus on me a little bit. Now, it's only a slice of time. It's only about 30 minutes or so. But what I'm trying to do is before I jump into the workday, before I jump into getting stuff done in my business, what I want to do is make sure that I give myself that time in the morning. And that one's really crucial. And I'm finding I'm really loving putting this in place. Now, am I great with it all the time? Absolutely not. I do glance at my phone or first thing in the morning just to make sure nothing's on fire, but I do try to make sure I'm doing these things before I jump into my workday. After I do my prep and I'm ready to go, my next thing I'm doing is what I kind of call my morning check-in. And my morning check-in is where I'm sitting down and saying, okay, before I get into my day, before I jump into doing things, what I like to do is just check in and make sure everything's flowing for the day the way I'm expecting. Number one, with my team, we use Slack as a way for us to communicate back and forth within our team. So I'm checking Slack, just making sure there are no messages that I missed maybe from the prior night, or if anyone posted anything in the morning. I want to make sure my team has what they need so that they can move forward in the day. I do this first thing in the morning because I want my team to be productive for the day. And if they're waiting for a file from me, they're waiting for me to approve something, if they have a quick question, I want to make sure I address that early enough in the day, because by addressing that first thing in the morning, my team can get going and they can have a productive day. I know a lot of people will maybe do team meetings or do team things later in the day. And what I find is it can slow down the team, or they kind of feel like they're in a holding pattern. So this is really my way to get that going. The other thing I like to do is spend a little bit of time just prepping for meetings, looking at my calendar, looking at and seeing what kind of meetings do I have scheduled for the day? And is there anything that I need to do? Any materials I need to do? Any reminder emails I need to send out? Making sure I have no conflicts in my calendar. Yesterday, I looked at my calendar and realized I had 2 meetings scheduled today at the same time. So doing a lot of that prep is just making sure there's nothing kind of slipping through your fingers and there isn't anything that needs to be done before I get into my meeting schedule. Because a lot of times when I have a meeting schedule, I'm often, back to back to back to back. I do put a little bit a buffer between my meetings. I normally have anywhere from a 30-minute to 15-minute buffer between my meetings. But when I get into that cycle, it's hard for me to build a document. It's hard for me to read notes from my previous meeting or any of those things. So I try to do all of that first thing in the morning. After I do my kind of check-in from the team and meetings, now it's time for me to look at email. So this is normally around, I think about 9:30-ish, I'm doing this in the day. And what I'm trying to do for this email check-in time is I'm looking for things that require a quick response. I'm looking for things that are really important for me to just respond to an email very quickly. This isn't the emails that are going to take me a little bit of time or have to put a document together. And what I'm trying to do is really kind of clean up my email, any newsletters or anything that have come through that, I'm going to read later or check out later. I like to file those away, get that done. So my email is fairly clean in the day. Now, I'm not doing a great job with this yet. I'm really, really struggling with this with my email because I'm just finding people are emailing a lot more right now. There's a lot of emails that I want to read. So what's happening is my email's a little junky. So what I'm going to do is kind of work on a little bit of a new solution for this, maybe add kind of 30 minutes at the end of the day, or 15 minutes into the day that actually is a cleanup period for my email. But this is how I go through email quickly to see if there's something I need to do, because what I don't want to do is early in the morning get sucked into the email cycle. I don't want to get to a point where I'm just doing emails, 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 and in 2, 3, 4 hours have gone by and all I did is respond to emails. I really want to make sure I'm getting into projects, getting into tasks, getting into things that are really going to drive my business forward, not just kind of getting pulled in. So once I've done the morning schedule, I can really switch gears. And actually, let me jump back here into kind of my standard week. Now, every day of the week is a different day for me. When I organize the schedule or I plan my schedule, I kind of see each day as having their own kind of purpose in my business. So if we talk about a day like Monday, Monday is what I call my grind day and my planning day. And what I mean by that is instead of me doing meetings on those days, instead of me doing sessions like this where I go live, or if somebody wants me to do an interview, I don't do any of those types of activities on Mondays. What I really need Monday to be is a day that sets me up for the week. And to set me up for the week, what that means is I need blocks of time, and often an hour or more, where I can work on a project, where I can work on notes, where I can really work on things that are needed for me to have successful meetings for the week, that are needed for me to have successful sessions like this during the week, what are needed for things that I need to get done. It doesn't mean I have to finish the whole project on Monday, but what it really is required in my Monday schedule is to make sure that I am set up so at the end of that week, I will have success. I will actually be able to get things done. And that means on Monday, around about 10 o'clock, I am working on what I call my weekly business plan. And this is the plan for the week. What are the tasks and projects do I need to complete that week? What are any objectives that I'm trying to meet for that week? And anything that's kind of an issue or something that rolled over from the prior week. I normally create a list of what those items are. I do some prioritization to actually say, okay, this is what's important for this week, and this is what can get pushed out to next week. Or if we missed something, didn't finish something the prior week, if we didn't get something done, I'll sit down and say, okay, is that still relevant, or is that something that is outdated? It's stale at this point, so I don't need it anymore. So therefore, we're actually going to move that project either off the list or push it out. And this is really where I spend most of my time in that planning, tapping into my strategy, making sure that each week is a productive week, as opposed to each week just now being a week of stuff I do. All right. Now, after that 10 o'clock hour, now it's time for me to do what I call a quick hit project. When I talk about getting things done, being productive in your day, one of the biggest things that I find works really well is being able to complete at least one major task in your business before about, I put 11 p.m. there. That actually should have been 11 a.m. Let me fix that. Before 11 a.m., 11:30 a.m. Now, 11:30 a.m. is just a specific time that I've chosen. And what I mean by that is I like through the first half of my day to not just be working on administrative things, but to be able to finish something I wanted to get done. Because the day sometimes can get away from me. Sometimes there's too much going on. There's too much I need to focus on. And because of that, I want to have a hour that I know is a high efficiency hour. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, and I don't know if anyone else has done this in their business. Let me know in the comments if you have or considered doing this. And this kind of like quick hit, high efficiency hour is when I'll sit down and work on something specific. If I have an article that I need to write for that week, I'm going to get that article, excuse me, for that day, I'm going to work on that article. So that way I have a little bit of momentum to carry me through the day. I'm actually able to say I was able to get something done before noon in my day. And if I was able to get that done, it gives me kind of the energy, the inspiration to do more. What I used to find is I used to just kind of work through projects and work through things and just try to get it all done. And what would happen is you'd work on a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this other project. And then I'd go through my day and I never got to completion. I never had a task in the day that actually significantly moved things forward. And because I was able to complete that task, I was able to get the benefits of the work that I was doing. And that's what I want you to think about when you're putting together your schedule, is making sure that you're planning kind of this quick hit project time so that every single day you have time to get something done. You have time to really make sure you're meeting a specific project. Now, in an hour, you can't do everything in your business. You can't do kind of those multiple dynamic dimensional projects, but you can do things that are very important to your business in an hour. Let me give you an example. I'll do things like scheduling or planning our social media post for the next month, where I pull out a calendar and I'll say which day we're going to be posting and working on that. Sometimes I do it as a collaborative hour with my teammate, with our social media manager. So we'll sit down and work on it together. Sometimes in my kind of productive hours, I'll work on projects that we're working on. Right now, we're working on launching a podcast. So during those hours, I'll work on different things. Like maybe one of my big projects was working on feed submissions. So figuring out where we're going to submit the podcast, setting up the RSS feed, creating the images, and then creating a project specifically around how are we going to get things submitted. So I submitted to the top 4 or 5 different podcast directories. I set up a project around it. I set up a spreadsheet so I could track it. And then I got the project to a point because I need my team to kind of help me, or if I didn't have a team, it would be something I do later in the week, where I got that project within that hour to a point where I had all the images, the feeds, all that set up. I found a great article that walked through all the directories, and then I put it into Asana and handed it over to someone else in my team so they can finish the submissions. So from my point of view, I've gotten the project to a point where I can transition it over to my team. I get the major podcasts submitted, and I've completed something. I completed something that significantly moved forward that project. And that's what I want you to feel. I want you to feel that before noon. So I highly recommend putting this or something like this in place in your business. All right. Now, after I've done my quick hit, I start to switch things up. This is time for me to do things like outreach. And what I mean by outreach, this is when I'm finally going back into email and I'm sending out responses to people. I'm responding to questions. If people need to reschedule a meeting, or if they're looking for a document, or I said I was going to send them A, B, and C, and they're like, hey, Stephanie, can you send me E, F, and G? What I'll do is I'll go through email. So this is time for me to start really digging through and getting that work done. Now I bring this up and show you that it's around about 11:30 is because I never want email to be the first thing I do in my day. I never want these types of projects that often spin out into other projects be too early in the day, but I also don't want it to be too late in the day where I'm missing things that need to be done or emails that need to be sent out. So this is a great time for me to really start to look at my day and say, okay, not only do I need to email, is there anyone I need to send a message to in Slack? We have a Slack community. I tend to go into our Slack community around about 11:30, respond, talk to people, interact. I also use WhatsApp. I use it for a lot of my clients. So maybe I'll do a check-in where I'll go in and see just how people are doing, anything that's happening, any questions, make sure I'm not missing anything. And now I'm starting to have a flow to my day. After I've gone through and done my outreach, now it's time to switch to projects. And this is when I have project blocks. So around 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in my day, I'm going to sit down and just work on a project, work on something. Now, this isn't a hard and fast time. 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, this can move around on different days of the week and also even on my kind of Monday focus day. But I set this up around 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So as a general rule, I'm not just kind of going task, 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 and I'm not just kind of looking at a whole bunch of pieces, that I want to make sure I have time each day to focus, time each day to keep coming back and looking at what do I want to get done as opposed to what's kind of coming at me. What are the agitations? What are all the pings and dings that are happening where someone's sending me something in Messenger and in Slack and asking me this question and that question? I want to get those things done. I want to respond to those people, but I don't want my day to be managed by what and how many dings I'm getting. I want to get the projects done, then take a step back from the projects and then come back into that reactionary mode. I don't want to be into it all day. All right. Now, I also have free time in each week and each day. I don't schedule my entire day, and I don't want you to think that I don't move things around a little bit. This schedule is so that I have a general outline of what my day is like and a general outline of what I want to accomplish and get done. So I don't want you to think this is me recommending that you do everything and that every hour is scheduled. So as you can see, if I have a block at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, then at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, it's just open time. And if I find I need another project block, I'll jump into another project block. If there's something else I need to be working on, I can do that as well. All right. And then the last thing I want to mention, this is kind of still in my Monday schedule as an example, but on Mondays, I schedule in some fun time. And I know it may sound weird to schedule in some fun time, but I really find this is key to your success in this new normal. Trying to stay sane, trying to be productive is having things like this on your schedule. And literally, I'm putting it in my calendar now, where before it would just kind of be a loose thing, where now I specifically have some watch party time. What we're doing on Monday nights at 8 o'clock, it's really a family kind of thing, where a couple of us get on the phone together and we watch TV together. So it's a great way for us to interact. It's a great way for us to watch a show together. We're all in different states. And it's a great way to have something that I look forward to on Monday nights. It's a great kind of fun thing. We pick a different show. Specifically, we're watching one show right now. We run through that. We'll probably pick another one. And I'm really excited about having this because it's such a fun thing to look forward to. I work all day, and I know that I'm going to have a kind of release. I know I'm going to get that personal touch. And I also know that, I have people that are kind of waiting to connect and do something fun with me. And I highly recommend that you do the same in your business. Now, I'm going to just talk about a couple other days and a couple other fun things because we're going a little longer than I expected, but I'm really hoping these kind of ideas and how I'm breaking down the day are going to help you guys. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are what I call my meeting days. These are days when I will schedule activities, interviews, and things with others. This is where kind of my calendar becomes a little bit subject to the outside world. Now, this is really important because I do a lot of coaching and consulting. So I have meetings all the time and a ton of meetings. And I know everyone doesn't have a ton of meetings, but what I tell people is if you're going to schedule a meeting, if you're meeting with a client, a wholesaler, if you're meeting with anyone, your team internally, if you're meeting with software company, any of those individuals, still try to schedule those for specific times of the week. Try not to have your schedule open to the world for 5 days a week, or even worse yet, 7 days a week. The reason being is when you are subject to other people's schedule, when they want to meet, what time, and so forth, it creates a little bit of flux in your schedule, creates all this kind of a little bit of yo-yo-y effect. And what I wanted to do in my schedule, and what I found was best, is if I set aside 3 days for that, I have 3 hard days. Yes, those are difficult days. There's a lot of meetings, a lot of activities, but then I also have stress reliever days, which are my Mondays and my Fridays. So therefore, I know that I am going to have days in the week that I'm not just running from meeting to meeting, schedule or activity, but I do have days that are kind of relaxing and cool down days. And that really helps by me focusing those days. The other thing I like to do is do my live streaming on specific days. For me, it's going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Same thing. Live streaming is a big experience. I need my hair, get some makeup on, need everything settled in my office. I'm going to do it at a specific time each day. So if you do a lot of live streaming, if you're thinking about going live, pick the days and the times you're going to go live. Even if you're not ready to go live, say you want to go live 3 days a week, 2 days a week, pick the date and time and then work your way up to it. You may be going live maybe once a week on Thursday, but you've reserved another time on Tuesday. So you have that set in your schedule. And then when you decide to do it twice a week, you can flex into it. But the key here is to set aside specific time so that when you want to go live and have people join you live, they know when to join you because you're going to set that specific time. And then also it creates a nice little rhythm around it. It creates a nice little routine around it. And you'll start to get really good at it. When I first started going live, I was just doing it on different days, anytime it came up. And what I found is it started to feel like it was something I almost dreaded doing. I was like, oh, I have to be ready for a live. Oh, I have to do this. Where now I flipped it. This is where it's now my new normal because I'm going live more because we're home. I'm going live more because it's allowing me to teach. It's allowing me to connect. And I'm going live more because I want to do more free training. I want to teach more while people are kind of in this transition period, either with their business or with their lives. So therefore, I made that commitment in this new environment, and I'm loving it because I'm sticking to a certain day and I'm able to really pull people in. Okay. And then the other thing we do is from a fun standpoint, and this one I can't take credit for. This was actually my cousin who set this up, where we do this kind of like family fun night. Now it's every other Thursday, so it's not every week. But what it is it's kind of like this fun thing that we do where it started with her kids doing charades, and we would all guess what they were doing, but now it's morphed into all types of fun things where the kids are performing. We did a name that plant, and everyone kind of went around with our family of different plants that we're all growing in our house, and it became a really fun activity. Once again, this is scheduled. This is on my calendar. This is something that I look forward to and something that I know I don't want to do something else during this time. So I highly recommend you do the same thing. Come up with a family night. And when I say a family night, it could be inside your home or an extended family night. Our family night is extended. We're on Zoom. We're in all different states coming together, checking in, and having some fun together. And I highly recommend that. And then the last thing I just wanted to run through is how the rest of my week goes. Friday is what I call my open day. No meetings. It's an open format. Nothing is scheduled on Friday. Friday is my day to do whatever I want, however I want, when I want in my business. And I love that day because it's such a free moment. It's such a moment for me to not feel so tied to my business and to my reality of I got to get this done by this time at this moment. I get a day that's kind of back to me as a business owner where I can spend time working on my business and working on what I think is a good project, a good idea. And that's because I'm structuring those other days in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as days that are highly productive, highly output days. So I have Fridays so I can plan, so I can brainstorm, so I can prepare for new ideas and work on things that are maybe those bigger projects and bigger initiatives that are going to be more, have a bigger impact, but take a little bit more time than a task. Saturday is my personal day. I try to just do personal stuff. I try to work on things around my house. I try to kind of have a day away from my desk, away from my computer. Now, it doesn't mean I don't sneak in and do a couple of emails because I love doing stuff. But what I try to do is really give myself permission to take a day off, to have a day I'm not in front of my computer, I'm not working, and I don't have to get things done. And then Sunday turns into prep and fun day. Now, I do spend maybe an hour or so on Sunday prepping for the week. And what I mean by that, that's just kind of writing out my plans, writing out my ideas, just getting a couple of things on paper. So I like having that time. Same thing, it's a little bit free format. I normally do it around like 1 o'clock or something in the afternoon, but sometimes I do it in the morning. Yeah, sometimes I do it all different times. I like doing it on the weekend because before I get into the work week and I feel like it has to be done, I can spend a couple of hours working on anything that really needs a little bit more of a creative space. If I am working, I can work, outside. I can work not in my office. I can work on the couch. I can work anywhere in the house, dining room table, get a different ambiance in a sense when I'm doing that prep. And then the last thing I like to do is I like to cook with my niece every Sunday. And once again, got to give my niece credit for this idea, is that every Sunday we do kind of this cooking slash dinner together. So we pick a recipe. Once we pick a recipe, we literally are on like FaceTime together while we're making the recipe. So each one of us are making the recipe. After we make it, we talk about some of the challenges, some of the things that are going on, some of the things that worked, or where we have to do substitutes. One week I didn't have sun-dried tomatoes, so I tried to roast the tomatoes in the oven so they had a nice little flavor profile to them, but I didn't have sun-dried tomatoes and I couldn't get them in this environment. So we still have some fun, we do some flexing, and then what we also do is we eat together. So after we've had the dinner, we're still on FaceTime, we're just chit-chatting while we're eating and so forth. My husband comes down and joins us, and we have dinner. My mom pops in, depending on what we're eating. She's eating a little more gluten-free these days, so sometimes our dishes are not as gluten-free friendly. So she'll just pop in a little bit. And what happens is it's creating a fun family dynamic. It creates something I'm looking forward to. And it's also a great way for me and my niece to bond. So it's another way how we're establishing our new normal, our new way of kind of connecting with each other, having fun with each other, and having something to look forward to. And then Sunday night is my TV night with my hubby. We love TV. We love looking at series and events and so forth, but we have a lot of shows that we like as well. So some of them are Sunday night shows, some of them are other shows, so we watch them on streaming or on a DVR, and then it becomes a little bit of our ritual. So I just wanted to share with you some of these ideas. I know for some of you out there, you may not be ready to put everything in place I have here. You may not be ready to do all of these details. And I don't want you to think that I'm expecting you to put all of this in place. It took me some time to develop it, to outline it, to figure out the dates, figure out the times. But what I wanted to do is give you some inspiration, give you some ideas, and also empower you to really think about the idea that you can be in charge of your schedule moving forward. You can be in a place where you are mixing in fun and activities. You can work in having productive blocks of time and organizing your day. And by leaning maybe into a little bit more structure into your workday, you can not only stay more productive, stay a little bit more sane because you're adding these things that allow you to connect with your team, your clients, and more importantly, with your family and your friends, and a way that you can kind of take back control of the day of the week. So I really hope this has given you some ideas. I really hope you kind of jotted down some things that you might want to include, and also think about this from the standpoint that take a couple of these ideas and add them. Don't add them all. Just take a couple of ideas and add them. And I just want to show you really quickly, at least for my folks that are listening to or watching this, and you can see an example of a schedule. This is what it can start to look like. So you set out your schedule and say, this is my Monday, this is my Tuesday, this is my Wednesday, my Thursday, my Friday, and you name the days, just like I have here, your grind day, your meeting days, and my open format. And this is a great way of how I built my schedule. Now, if you guys are interested in me giving you a copy of my schedule so you can pick and choose, grab things from it, and actually leverage it as well, just let me know in the comments. Just post in the comments. I'd love to get access to your schedule, and I'll post a link so you can download it from our Google Sheets account and allow you to maybe start your own schedule. But I just wanted to show you that just to give you an idea of what it would physically look like and a great way for you to start to move forward. Well, thank you so much for your time. Sorry, everyone, we went a little bit longer than we normally do for these sessions, but I hope this has been helpful. I hope this is giving you some ideas, and I really hope this is kind of helping you realize that while things are maybe not back to the way they were, and the idea that really moving forward, I don't think they are. I think this is going to be our new normal, that you feel more comfortable establishing that. You feel more comfortable being in that driver's seat and helping yourself stay sane but also be productive. And also not be too hard on yourself, that you give yourself days off, give yourself time off, and make sure that you're scheduling in some fun, some activities with friends, with family, with really anyone that can delight your day, and that you really take care of yourself out there while we're all trying to stay safe, try to stay sane, be productive, and continue being successful in our businesses. All right. Thanks so much for everyone for joining us, and I'll see you at the next live session. Bye.